And after a prominent Greenpeace Canada member took climate alarmists to task this morning on Fox and Friends, President Trump quoted him on Twitter. In response, the media immediately were like jackals on the president. The Independent UK blaring, "Trump repeats false claim." A CNN headline called the president's tweet his latest denial of science. Huffington Post claimed Trump parrots anti-science misinformation. But is that accurate? Well, we put that question to a man who studied climate change for 35 years. Greg Wrightstone is a geologist and author of the book Inconvenient Facts, the Science That Al Gore Does Not Want You to Know. Now, it should be noted that Apple approved an app that he built for this book, but then they pulled it down. Greg, I want to begin this, this dire warnings about carbon. The United Nations recently issued a warning that the concentration of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere was at levels not seen in 3 million years. That's a long time, Greg. That sounds scary.
Yeah.
So why are you denying the impact of this, you denier?
Well, the fact of the matter is we've increased carbon dioxide by about 120 parts per million since the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. We're at a little over 400 now. To put that in perspective, throughout Earth's history prior to our current period, the average CO2 levels on Earth were 2,600 parts per million, 6.5 times what they are right now, and Earth thrived. So this really a minor increase in increases in carbon dioxide really needs to be put in that long-term perspective, and we see it's really just a blip. And the other thing is, when I'm talking around the country, my talks usually center around how rising temperatures and increasing CO2 are benefiting the Earth and humanity. We see tremendous benefits from increasing CO2. CO2 fertilization effect is benefiting plants.
All right, Greg, I also want to get your thoughts on the idea that we'll see massive famines because of climate change. Here's Bill Nye, the science guy.
The agriculture in North America is going to have to move north into what would nominally be Canada. We don't have the railroads and roads to get food from that area to where we need it around the world. The longer we mess around and not address this problem, the more difficult it's going to be.
Are you ready to plow fields in Saskatchewan? Come on.
Yeah, I don't think so. What we've seen is continuing. What he's doing, and it's important to look at this, is a lot of what we hear from people like Bill Nye is speculation about what might happen 30, 50, or 80 years in the future based on failed climate models that overpredict warming. Well, we know that throughout our human history, warming periods like we're in right now, and yes, we're in a warming period. It's been warming for over 300 years. Those warming periods were hugely beneficial with bountiful crops, bountiful food. It was the cold periods that were really bad in between. That's when famine occurs. Completely opposite of what Bill Nye's telling you.
Next, really quick, they claim that it's not just famines that we need to worry about, but massive droughts, too. Here's a NASA climate scientist.
In our projections, what we're seeing is that with climate change, many of these types of droughts will likely last for 20, 30, sometimes even 40 years. These droughts really represent events that nobody in the history of the United States has ever had to deal with.
Okay, NASA is never wrong. Really quick, Greg.
Yeah, well, they're wrong here. If you had my app, you could see it. I look at the massive droughts of the 20th century, and we see most of those occurred before 1960. These were the really bad droughts, and they're in decline.
All right, we'll be right back. We appreciate that. I hope Apple reconsiders and puts your app back up.